The exam hall was silent. Vanessa froze, seeing the boy she depended on smirking. Vanessa thought she was playing him for free tutorials, but the quiet boy she underestimated was actually watching her closely. Vanessa sat in her car, ready to snag the answers that would change everything. But the underestimated boy had a surprise. Welcome to Vibe Narrative Tailies. If you love stories about morals, instant karma, African high school drama, and sweet revenge, hit that like button right now. And if you are new, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the gist. Let's see if we can get 100,000 likes for Fred's wisdom. Now, let's start the story. Royal King's College in Lagos was not a school for the poor. It was a school where students argued about whose father had the newest private jet. If you were rich, beautiful, or famous on Instagram, you ruled the school. And nobody ruled hotter than Vanessa. Vanessa was the daughter of a powerful senator. She was stunning, with expensive bone-straight wigs, designer bags, and a squad of friends who worshipped the ground she walked on. She was the definition of a slay queen. She spent her school hours making TikTok videos in the bathroom and bullying the scholarship students. But Vanessa had a secret. Behind the filters and the money, her brain was empty. It was SS3. The final WAEC and JAM exams were approaching. These exams determined everything. Vanessa's parents had already promised her admission to a top university in the UK. All she needed was to pass. But Vanessa had spent 6 years partying in clubs instead of studying. One evening, her father, the senator, slammed his fist on the dining table. "Vanessa," he shouted, his voice shaking the house, "I have spent millions on your school fees. If you fail these exams and disgrace this family, I swear I will cancel your UK visa. You will go to the village and attend the local polytechnic. No more allowance. No more driver." The threat paralyzed Vanessa. The village? A local polytechnic? That was social suicide. She needed to pass. But she didn't know the difference between chemistry and biology. She needed a miracle. Or she needed a thief. The next day, she sat in the school cafeteria with her best friend, Toke, looking at her terrible mock results. "I am finished," Vanessa cried, wiping a tear. "My daddy is serious this time. I need the Expo answers for the final exam. You can't get them," Toke said, chewing gum loudly. "Headmaster Adebayo is too strict. He keeps the papers in a biometric safe in his office. He doesn't take bribes." Vanessa looked across the cafeteria, scanning the room for a solution. Her eyes landed on a lonely table near the window. Sitting there, alone, eating rice and beans from a plastic flask, was a boy. He wore a uniform that was clean but slightly faded. He wore big, round glasses. He never spoke to anyone. He was invisible to girls like Vanessa. It was Fred Adebayo, the headmaster's son. Fred was the smartest boy in the school, the ethico, bookworm. He knew the answer to every question, but he was socially awkward. He had never had a girlfriend. A slow, wicked smile spread across Vanessa's face. The gears in her mind started turning. "The safe is in Headmaster Adebayo's office," she whispered to Toke. "And who has the keys to the house? Who lives with the headmaster?" Toke followed her gaze and gasped. "No, Vanessa, God forbid. That boy? He wears sandals to church. You can't be seen with him. It will damage your brand." My brand won't matter if I am selling pepper in the village, Vanessa said, standing up and adjusting her skirt. He is my ticket to London. Watch and learn, Toke. Watch and learn. The operation began the next day. Vanessa orchestrated a chance meeting. She knew Fred stayed back after school to study in the library while waiting for his father. She walked into the library, looking like a goddess. She walked past his table and accidentally dropped her expensive iPhone. It hit the floor with a loud thud. Oh my God! Vanessa cried out, putting a hand to her chest. My screen! Fred jumped up immediately. He picked up the phone and checked it. It's okay, he stammered, holding it out to her. It didn't crack. He expected her to snatch it and hiss at him like she usually did. He expected her to ask him why he was breathing her air. But when he looked up, Vanessa was smiling at him. It was a dazzling, practiced smile that could melt butter. Thank you so much, she said softly. You are Fred, right? The headmaster's son? Fred couldn't speak. He just nodded, mesmerized. His heart was pounding in his chest like a talking drum. The most beautiful girl in Lagos knew his name. I see you studying all the time, Vanessa continued, her voice sweet like honey. I wish I was as smart as you. I'm really struggling with further maths. My daddy is going to kill me if I fail. Maybe you could help me sometime. From that moment, the trap was set. Fred, innocent and lonely, walked right into the lion's den. Over the next few weeks, Vanessa put on the performance of a lifetime. She started sitting with Fred at lunch, ignoring the whispers and giggles of her Slay Queen friends. She walked him to class. She laughed at his dry jokes about science. She started to transform him. She told him to stop wearing his glasses. She bought him a new designer shirt. She told him he had fine eyes and potential. She made him feel seen. She made him feel like a king. For Fred, it was a dream come true. He had spent his whole life being the invisible headmaster's son. Now he was dating the senator's daughter. He fell hard. He fell fast. He was completely in love. He started imagining a future with her. Maybe they would go to the UK together. Maybe this was destiny. But for Vanessa, it was torture. Every minute she spent with him was exhausting. She hated how he ate. She hated how he talked about physics equations. She hated that he didn't have a car. Behind his back, she would roll her eyes and text Toke, "Ooh, this boy is boring me to death. He brought me gala and la casera for lunch. Can you imagine me eating gala? I want to scream. But I need those papers." One evening, 2 weeks before the final exams, Vanessa made her move. They were studying in the empty classroom. Or rather, Fred was trying to teach her algebra while she checked Instagram under the table. Vanessa let out a fake sob. She slammed the book shut and put her head on the desk. "I can't do this, Fred." She cried dramatically. "I'm too dull. I'm going to fail." Fred looked concerned. He reached out and held her hand. "Vanessa, don't say that. You are smart. You just need to focus. We can study more. I will teach you everything. Teaching isn't enough." Vanessa snapped, then quickly softened her tone. I'm just not like you, Fred. I have anxiety. My brain freezes during exams. My dad said if I don't get a 1 in everything, he will disown me. She looked at him with big teary eyes. She squeezed his hand. She leaned closer, her expensive perfume filling his nose. There is only one way I can pass. Only one way we can be together in London. What do you mean? Fred asked Vanessa, confused. If I fail, I stay in Nigeria, she lied. We will be separated forever, but if I knew what was on the test, just a peek ... I could prepare. I could join you abroad. Fred pulled back, shocked. Vanessa, are you asking me to steal the Expo? My father keeps them in the safe. That is criminal. If he catches me, he will kill me. Vanessa pulled away, looking hurt. She stood up and grabbed her Gucci bag. I knew it. You don't love me. You don't care if I suffer. Fine. Maybe we should just break up now. It was the ultimate manipulation. She knew exactly which buttons to press. No, wait, Fred said, panic in his voice. He stood up and blocked her path. Don't go. I didn't say I wouldn't do it. I'm scared. Vanessa turned back, a glimmer of victory in her eyes. She stepped close to him and caressed his cheek. It's not dangerous if we are smart, baby. You live in the house. Just take a picture. Just one picture of the answer key. For us. For our love. Fred looked at her. He looked at the girl of his dreams, begging him for help. He swallowed hard. He thought about losing her to some rich boy in London. Okay, he whispered. I'll do it. For us. Vanessa kissed him. It was the first time she had kissed him properly. To her, it was a business transaction. To him, it was a solemn promise. The night before the exam, Vanessa was waiting in her car a block away from the Headmaster's compound. It was midnight. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Fred on WhatsApp. Underneath the images, a text read, My hands are shaking. My dad almost woke up when I opened the safe. I love you, Vanessa. Please be careful. Delete this immediately. Vanessa didn't reply, I love you. She replied with a generic thumbs up emoji. She forwarded the images immediately to Toke and her big girl group chat. Then she drove home, laughing maniacally. Too easy, she said to herself. Bookworms are so pathetic. He actually thinks I love him. Vanessa spent the entire night memorizing the answers. She didn't study the concepts. She just memorized the letter sequences. 1A, 2C, 3D. She memorized the essay topics. She wrote the essays out and memorized them word for word. She was ready. The next morning, the day of the exam, Vanessa walked into school like she owned the place. She wore her uniform tight and perfectly ironed. She flipped her hair. She felt invincible. Fred was waiting for her by the school gate. He looked terrible. He had dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept. He looked anxious. He smiled weakly when he saw her, stepping forward for a hug. Hey, he whispered. Did you get them? Are you ready? Vanessa stopped. She looked at him. She looked at his cheap sandals and his hopeful eyes. And she decided she was done pretending. She had what she wanted. She didn't need to carry the dead weight anymore. Ooh, Vanessa said, stepping back to avoid his touch. Don't touch me. You are sweating. Fred looked confused. What? Vanessa, it's me. What's wrong? What's wrong is that you're annoying, Vanessa said loudly. The students passing by stopped to watch. Look, Fred, Thanks for the help last night, but let's be real. Did you actually think a girl like me would date a boy like you? Fred blinked, stunned. But you said ... quotes. I said what I had to say. Vanessa laughed, cruel and sharp. I needed a tutor. I needed a pass mark. Now I have it. We're done. Go back to your books and leave me alone. We are not in the same league. Do you even have a passport? Toke and the other girls laughed. Vanessa hissed and walked away, leaving Fred standing alone in the middle of the compound, heartbroken and humiliated. He didn't cry. He didn't chase after her. He just watched her go, and then he adjusted his glasses. And for a brief second, the sadness in his eyes vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating. The bell rang. It was exam time. Vanessa walked into the exam hall with confidence. She sat at her desk. She sharpened her pencils. She looked around at the stressed students praying and sweating, and she felt superior. She knew all the answers. Headmaster Adebayo stood at the front of the room. You have 3 hours, he announced in his deep voice. No talking. No malpractice. You may begin. Vanessa flipped open the question paper. She had the sequence memorized. Question 1 should be A, question 2 should be C. She looked at question 1. Question 1. Using the principle of moments, calculate the reaction at the pivot point X. Vanessa paused. The answer key Fred sent her said the answer was 1960. But this was a physics question involving diagrams. The options were formulas, not numbers. She frowned. Maybe she mixed up the order. She looked at question 2. Question 2. Discuss the economic impact of the 1914 amalgamation on Nigerian trade routes. Vanessa froze. The notes she memorized were about the French Revolution. This was Nigerian history mixed with economics. This was completely different. Her heart started to pound against her ribs. She flipped through the pages frantically. Nothing matched. Not the maths, not the English, not the science. The questions were completely different from the pictures Fred had sent her. What is going on? She whispered to herself. Panic rose in her throat like bile. She looked at the date on the paper. It was correct. Then she noticed something strange about the paper structure. She looked closer at the questions. They seemed ... harder. Impossible, actually. She looked up. She looked towards the front of the room. Fred was sitting there. He wasn't writing. He was watching her. He caught her eye, and he smirked. It wasn't the shy smile of the boy who carried her bag. It was the smirk of a mastermind. He tapped his temple with his finger. Use your brain, Vanessa. Vanessa realized the horror. The pictures he sent her were not the exam papers. They were fake. He had spent hours creating a fake exam key with fake answers just to feed it to her. He knew all along she was using him. He had tested her loyalty, and she had failed. Vanessa tried to write something, anything, but she knew nothing. Her mind went blank. The letters swam on the page. She started to hyperventilate. Tears streamed down her face, ruining her makeup. She looked around. Everyone else was writing. Toke, who had also memorized the fake answers, was looking at Vanessa with the same terrified expression 2 rows away. They were both doomed. 2 hours later, Vanessa handed in a mostly blank paper. She walked out of the hall, her legs shaking. Fred was waiting for her outside, leaning against a tree. She marched up to him, furious. "You," she screamed. "You tricked me. You gave me the wrong answers. You are wicked." Fred didn't flinch. "And you pretended to love me," he replied calmly. "I guess we both lied. The difference is, I passed my exam. You didn't. I'm going to tell your dad." Vanessa threatened. "I'm going to tell him you stole the papers." "You'll get expelled too." Fred laughed. It was a dry, humorless laugh. "Tell him what? That I sent you pictures of my private revision notes? I didn't send you the exam, Vanessa. I sent you a mock test I made for myself. It's not illegal to share notes. It's not my fault you memorized the wrong thing." Vanessa opened her mouth, but nothing came out. He had covered his tracks perfectly. "By the way," Fred added, pulling out his phone, "I recorded our conversation this morning. The one where you called me a loser? And the voice note where you asked me to steal." He pressed play. Vanessa's cruel voice rang out from the speaker. "I needed a tutor. I needed a pass mark. Now I have it. We're done. I think the whole school should hear this," Fred said. "I already posted it on the student union group chat." "No," Vanessa begged, grabbing his arm. "Please, Fred, I'm sorry. I'll do anything. My dad will kill me." "It's too late," Fred said, pulling his arm away. "You failed, Vanessa. In school and in character." He walked away, leaving her standing in the dust, crying. The fallout was brutal. Vanessa and Toke failed the exams. They scored F9 in almost every subject. Vanessa's father, the senator, was furious. He kept his promise. He cancelled her UK visa application. Instead of London, Vanessa was sent to a remote polytechnic in the village to study fishery and agriculture. Her G-Wagon was taken away. She had to take public transport. Fred graduated with 9 distinctions. He got a full scholarship to a top university in Canada. He left the country and never looked back. Vanessa eventually became famous, but not as a slay queen. The recording of her admitting to using Fred went viral. She went from Queen Bee to the girl everyone laughed at. So, what is the lesson here? Never underestimate the quiet ones. Never think you are smarter than everyone else just because you are richer or finer. Using people is a dangerous game. And remember, there are no shortcuts in life. If you want to japa, you have to do the work. Cheaters never win, and winners never cheat. If you enjoyed this story of sweet revenge, hit the like button and subscribe. Share this with a friend who needs a reminder to read their books. Until next time, stay smart and stay kind. Class dismissed.